Welcome to While We Were Distracted, the podcast where we explore topics that often get overshadowed in the rush of daily life.
All right, buckle up, everybody, because today we're diving headfirst into a story that's got more twists and turns than a Lil Durk track.
Oh, you know I love a good hip-hop
Of
reference.
course, I had to. But seriously, folks, we're talking about the arrest of none other than Lil Durk himself. Dirk Banks is his real name, of course.
Yeah, and it's not just the arrest itself, right? It's this whole alleged murder-for-hire plot that's got everyone in the industry talking.
Exactly. And we've got 3 news articles here that are going to help us break down all the details. This is some serious stuff, so let's get right into it.
What's got me hooked is just how deep this
Oh,
goes.
yeah.
It's not just about one guy, right? It goes back years, ties into the death of another big name, and could even rope in a whole hip-hop collective.
It all started last Thursday,
Right.
when Lil Durk was arrested down in Florida.
And on some heavy charges, too. Murder for hire.
Whoa, murder for hire. You don't hear that every day.
Nope. And to make things even wilder, he was already in custody at Broward County Jail for something else entirely. Now they're talking extradition, U.S. Marshals, and the whole 9 yards.
So for those of us who aren't lawyers, break down that murder for hire thing a little bit.
Basically, it means someone's accused of paying or, contracting another person to commit murder.
Yeah.
The law takes it super seriously because it involves planning, premeditation, all that.
So, not a spur-of-the-moment thing.
Not at all. Very calculated, allegedly, of course.
Right, of course.
Yeah.
So where does only the family, or OTF, as the cool kids call them, where do they fit into all this?
Well, get this. At the same time as Dirk's arrest, 5 guys connected to OTF get indicted in L.A. on similar charges. We're talking Kavon London Grant, DeAndre Dontrell Wilson, Keith Jones, David Bryan Lindsay, and Asa Houston.
Hold on, indicted. What does that even mean?
Basically, it's like a formal accusation of a crime comes from a grand jury.
So it's not just like someone saying they did it. It's
It means there's enough evidence
Yeah.
to potentially go to trial, yeah.
Gotcha. So what exactly are these guys accused of?
Conspiracy to commit murder for hire, actually committing murder for hire resulting in death, and a whole bunch of firearms charges.
And conspiracy means they were working together.
Right, exactly. Prosecutors think they planned and carried this whole thing out together.
Okay, so we've got Lil Durk in Florida, these 5 guys in LA, and some very similar charges. Starting to see a pattern here. What's the motive?
The alleged target was rapper Quando Rondo, and the motive seems to go back to 2020 and the death of Chicago rapper King Von.
Oh man, King Von. I remember that. It was all over the news. Shot and killed outside a club in Atlanta.
Right, and he was close with Lil Durk, a key member of OTF. Prosecutors think this whole plot might have been retaliation for King Von's death.
Like an eye for an eye kind of thing.
Yeah, unfortunately, and this is where it gets even more tragic, Rondo survived the shooting these 5 guys are accused of, but his cousin, 24 years old, he didn't make it.
So this wasn't just some, theoretical plan. This had real devastating consequences. Okay, so how does Lil Durk connect to these 5 guys and what they're accused of doing to Rondo?
Well, this is a big one. Prosecutors say they used an OTF credit card to buy plane tickets to LA back in August of 2022. Seems like they were trying to track down Rondo.
An OTF credit card, wow. Does that mean they were taking orders from Lil Durk?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Investigators are digging into all of that, Lil Durk's relationship with these guys, how OTF works, and what his role was in all this.
So this is getting complicated.
You could say that again.
And you mentioned earlier that Lil Durk has had some legal trouble before, right?
Yeah.
Something about a lawsuit from 2020.
Right, there's a lawsuit against him connected to the death of another Chicago rapper, FBG Duck. That one's still going on, totally separate from these current charges in Florida.
So Lil Durk is fighting battles on multiple fronts.
You could say that.
Let's take a step back for a second and talk more about King Von's death back in 2020. That seems to be the catalyst for everything that's happened since.
Absolutely. Understanding what happened that night is crucial.
Take us there. What went down?
Well, the police reports and witnesses say it started with an argument, King Von's entourage, and another group that included Quando Rondo.
So just like a beef that got out of control.
Yeah, and it went from words to a fight, and then tragically to gunfire.
It's crazy how quickly things can escalate like that.
It really is, especially when emotions are running high.
And King Von lost his life that night.
He did, left a huge hole in the Chicago scene, really devastated Lil Durk.
Lil Durk even released a tribute track, The Voice, just a month later.
Powerful song.
You think King Von's death might have, changed Lil Durk's music, his whole persona.
It's hard to say for sure what goes on in an artist's mind, but it's definitely possible.
Yeah, that kind of loss has to have an impact.
Absolutely. And it makes the music even more real, right? We're not just listening for entertainment, we're connecting with someone's real life, their pain.
Exactly. And with Lil Durk, that line between his art and his reality seems blurrier than ever now.
It really does.
It makes you think, did King Von's death lead Lil Durk down a darker path?
And did that loss play a role in these alleged events?
It's like we're peeling back the layers of a Greek tragedy, but this is real life with real consequences.
It is. As we dig deeper into these alleged plots and the legal stuff, we got to remember the human side of it all.
Absolutely. So before we get into the legal stuff, let's talk about the plot against Quando Rondo.
Yeah.
How did they allegedly go about it? What did they actually do?
Remember that OTF credit card?
Oh, yeah.
Prosecutors say that's how they got to LA, bought plane tickets with it. Seems pretty premeditated if you ask me.
Flying across the country to harm someone? That's intense.
It is. And the big question is, how much did Lil Durk know? Was this his plan, or were these guys freelancing? That's what they're trying to figure out.
I'm hooked, man.
Yeah.
We've got Lil Durk, King Von's death, the alleged plot against Rondo, and this whole OTF thing. Tell me more about these 5 guys who were indicted. What's their story?
Well, not much information out there yet. Gotta wait for the legal process to play out.
Okay, so their stories are still under wraps, but their connection to OTF, that's got to be significant.
Absolutely. Seems like they were pretty tight with Lil Durk. What they say could make or break this case.
So their testimony is going to be key. And what kind of trouble are they in? Are their charges as serious as Lil Durk's?
Oh, yeah. Just as serious. Conspiracy, murder for hire, firearms charges, the whole 9 yards.
This whole thing is just a reminder of how dangerous gang violence is, how quickly it can turn deadly.
It really is, and it's not just a hip-hop thing. It's a societal problem, you know? These events, they affect everyone, families, communities. It goes way beyond the music.
Sobering thought. All right, we've set the scene, looked at the key players, all that. Now let's talk about the fallout. What does this mean for Lil Durk's career? Could this be the end of the road for him?
That's the question everyone's asking, right? It could change everything, or maybe not. The next few weeks are going to be crucial.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
Me too.
We'll get into all of that right after this.
Wait, we're not doing breaks this time, remember? We're just going to keep rolling.
Oh, right. My bad. Where were we?
Lil Durk's career?
Right.
And what happens next?
Right. Okay, so Lil Durk's career on the line. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, this whole situation, it could really change things for Lil Durk. I mean, we're talking about a guy who was on top of the world, collaborating with big names, and now he's facing serious time.
Yeah, that Morgan Wallen collab, Broadway Girls, that was huge. Brought country and hip-hop together, showed how versatile Lil Durk is. But now, who knows what'll happen with future collabs?
Yeah, other artists, labels, they're all watching this.
Probably a lot of nervous folks out there.
For sure. It's a business, and when you're associated with someone facing these kinds of charges, well, it's a risk.
PR teams must be working overtime.
Oh, absolutely. And then there's the public, the fans. Will they stick by him, or will this tarnish his image?
It's tough. Some
Yeah.
people might separate the art from the artist, keep listening,
Yeah.
but others, they might feel betrayed, you know.
It's a tough call, and it brings up this question of, like, what's an artist's responsibility? Even if they haven't been convicted, does this change how we see them?
And how about his label? They've invested a lot in Lil Durk. They got to be freaking out.
Big time. They're probably having emergency meetings as we speak, figuring out what to do.
Pause new releases, maybe.
Could be. They could even drop them altogether.
Man, talk about high stakes. His whole future is up in the air.
And let's not forget that lawsuit from 2020, the FBG Duck case.
Oh, right. That's still looming over him.
Yeah, that one alleges he played a role in FBG Duck's death.
But he hasn't been charged with anything. Right.
No charges in that case, and he's denied any involvement.
But these new charges, this murder for hire stuff, that could affect the lawsuit, right?
It might. Juries, they take everything into account, and these new charges, they could paint a bad picture.
So it's like one problem feeding into another.
Yeah, it's a messy situation, no doubt about it. And it's a reminder that actions have consequences, even for superstars.
Speaking of superstars, let's zoom out a bit, talk about what this means for the hip-hop community as a whole. Some people might see this and say, see, hip-hop is all about violence.
Yeah, that's a common reaction, but it's oversimplifying things.
Right, hip-hop is so diverse, it's not fair to paint it all with the same brush.
Exactly. This case, it's tragic, it's disturbing, but it doesn't represent the whole genre. There are tons of artists out there spreading positive messages.
Like Chance the Rapper, Kendrick Lamar, Common. They're all about social change, making a difference.
Absolutely. Hip hop can be a powerful force for good. It's about balance, seeing the whole picture.
Okay, so we've talked about the impact on Lil Durk, the legal stuff, what it means for hip-hop. But what about the fans? They must be going through it right now.
Yeah, this is hitting them hard, especially the young ones who look up to Lil Durk.
Some of them might be confused, hurt, even angry.
Yeah, it's a test of loyalty. Do they stick with the music, or do they feel like they can't support him anymore?
And it raises this question of an artist's responsibility to their fans. Are they supposed to be role models? What happens when they mess up?
Big questions, and there aren't any easy answers. It's something we see in all kinds of entertainment, music, movies, even sports. How do we hold our idols accountable while still enjoying their work?
Yeah, it's something to think about, especially in this age of, celebrity worship.
It's easy to forget that these are just people, and people make mistakes.
And sometimes those mistakes have huge consequences. But let's shift gears for a second, because in all this talk about Lil Durk and the legal stuff, we can't forget the victims.
Absolutely. King Von, his life was cut short. And Quando Rondo's cousin, killed in that alleged shooting, their families are going through unimaginable pain.
It's a reminder that this isn't just a story. It's real life with real heartbreak.
And it's part of a bigger problem, this violence that affects so many communities.
Right. This case, it's a symptom of something deeper, something we need to address.
Poverty, inequality, systemic racism, it all plays a role.
So while we're focused on Lil Durk and the legal stuff, we can't lose sight of the bigger picture.
Yeah.
This is about more than just one artist. It's about creating a better world for everyone.
Exactly. It's a call to action, a reminder that we all have a role to play in making things better.
Well said. Now, we've talked about Lil Durk, the charges, the impact on hip-hop and the fans, but there's one piece of the puzzle we haven't explored fully. Only the family, OTF. What's their deal?
All right, let's get into OTF. This is more than just a record label. It's a family, a movement. Lil Durk started it back in 2010. It's been a huge part of his success.
They've got that raw Chicago sound, right? Reflecting life on the streets.
Exactly. Their music talks about struggle, survival, violence, stuff a lot of people in their community can relate to.
It's like their music is both a reflection of their world and an escape from it. But now, with these charges, I wonder if OTF's image is going to take a hit.
It's possible when you've got members accused of serious crimes, it can tarnish the whole group.
Will fans still see them the same way? Or will they associate OTF with violence and crime?
Hard to say. Some might turn away, others might stay loyal.
This is a make-or-break moment for OTF, that's for sure.
Absolutely. The choices they make now, they could have a huge impact on their future.
Okay, we've got a lot more to unpack about OTF, their role in all of this, and what they do next. Let's dive deeper right after. Oh, wait, no breaks.
You got it. Let's keep this going.
Right, OTF, let's talk about it. So, we were saying that OTF's music, it reflects that street life, the struggles, sometimes the violence. Do you think that connection to that world played a part in what's happened?
It's a good question, and it's tricky. I mean, art reflects life, right? The artist experiences their environment. That authenticity is what draws people in. That's what makes Lil Durk and OTF so appealing.
But it's a slippery slope, isn't it? Reflecting reality versus glorifying violence.
Exactly. And that's where it gets complicated. Some folks say certain types of hip-hop lyrics, the imagery, it contributes to a culture of violence. But others see it as just expressing what they've lived through, a way to deal with trauma, to challenge the system, you know?
It's a tough one. And this case makes you think about, what artists are responsible for, especially those with big followings. Their work, it has an impact.
Absolutely. It's about being aware of that influence.
And this brings us back to the fans, especially the young ones who might be looking up to Lil Durk, imitating him. What message does this send to them?
That's a question we all need to be thinking about. Parents, teachers, the music industry. I think we need to talk to young people about, thinking for themselves, not just blindly following.
Being critical, not just accepting everything they see and hear.
Yeah, media literacy, that's a big one. Understanding that liking someone's music doesn't mean you endorse everything they do.
Separating the art from the artist.
Exactly. Teach them to analyze lyrics, music videos, social media posts, all of it. Help them see that artists, they're human, they make mistakes.
We put celebrities on these pedestals. Forget they're just people.
Yeah, it's easy to get caught up in the hype, but we got to remember and remind young people, fame doesn't equal being a good person.
So, back to Lil Durk. How do you think this will affect his career, his music. Could this be a turning point for him?
It's possible. Going through something like this, the legal battles, losing friends, it can make you reevaluate things. Maybe his music will become more introspective.
Like looking inward, exploring different themes.
Yeah. Redemption, taking responsibility, maybe even warning others about the path he's been on.
Using his experience to help others avoid those pitfalls.
That would be powerful, turning this negative into a positive. It's hard to say what he'll do, but this is definitely a crossroads for him.
It's going to be interesting to see what he does next. Okay, we've analyzed everything. The charges, the background, the potential impact on Lil Durk, hip-hop, the fans. What's the one thing you want listeners to take away from this?
I think the biggest thing is to think critically. This isn't a simple situation. There are a lot of layers. We need to avoid jumping to conclusions, labeling people, or a whole genre. Let's have real conversations, acknowledge the complexities, try to understand.
It's about recognizing that there are different sides to every story, that everyone deserves a fair hearing.
Absolutely. As this plays out, let's approach it with empathy, an open mind, and a willingness to learn from all of this.
Well said. And to our listeners, thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Stay informed, stay engaged, and keep those critical thinking skills sharp. We'll catch you next time.
Don't forget to like and subscribe for the next episode on While We Were Distracted.